Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Mark sent me notes to Steve to see the most recent versions of the stories about the U.S. Postal Service going slow. And I hadn't seen this most recent version, so I checked it out. And it's saddening to me because the U.S. Postal Service used to be so reliable and so handy. And they raise the rates from time to time, and that's generally not a problem for most people. But the Postal Service is going to slow down certain mail deliveries starting in October, according to MSN, but widely reported elsewhere. Rachel Scully wrote this version of the story. And the U.S. Postal Service Friday finalized a plan to slow down first-class mail deliveries as part of an initiative to cut down red ink. And they point out that's been reported also by Reuters. There's another news service. That plan to slow down first-class mail will go into effect on October 1st. It will revise the existing 1 to 3 day service standards to 1 to 5 days. The Postal Service will keep 61% of the mail at its current standard, according to the news outlet. Delivery service will also be slower for about 7% of periodicals. The postmaster, who initially proposed the idea in March, said while the changes may be uncomfortable, they are committed to delivering to every address in the nation 6 days a week and to strive for financial sustainability. And I don't want to get political, and I don't think this is a political issue in that sense. I think the Postal Service ought to be apolitical, meaning it's just a government service. It shouldn't be one side or the other. The Postal Service has been around for a very long time, And it's one of the few things that used to be so dependable. It was like clockwork, as they say. You could throw something in the mail, you knew it was getting where it was going, and it wouldn't take that long if it went first class. And the idea of how important the mail is, I think it's falling a little bit in terms of importance because of things like email and cell phones and computers and Skype and stuff. The idea about actually putting something in an envelope and mailing it. But it's still important. There are things that need to be mailed. And so the idea that the post office has to make money is actually a misconception. There are a bunch of different branches of government that don't, quote unquote, make money. And the idea that a branch of government is for profit is actually a problem. No one ever said the post office ought to turn a profit. No one ever said that. I mean, not among the founders. I believe the founders simply thought that the post office was a vital service that the government would provide. And, so I'm troubled by this. The Postal Service's addition of 1 or 2 days to current service standards for first-class mail and periodicals will enable the post office to convey a greater volume of mail within the contiguous United States by surface transportation, the notice said. Postal Service relies heavily on air transport, which may experience delays due to weather, air traffic, and air traffic control ground stops, which, of course, has nothing to do with anything different from last year, the year before, the year before, the year before. I mean, I think we've always had weather. I think weather is something we've always had. The service reportedly had a $3 billion quarterly net loss on Friday, according to Reuters, but the loss is expected due to changes in delivery from the pandemic. The postmaster predicted in March that changes would cut about $160 billion of the predicted losses over the next decade. And so, we sometimes love to gripe about the post office. I think I even did a video a while back where I complained about things the post office did. It has nothing to do with the cost of the post office. I've always been willing to pay what they're willing to take. But I've mentioned before, for instance, that I've mailed a box of stuff to myself. One time I was traveling the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and I had a case of books with me. And I was going to fly someplace else. And I didn't want to carry the box of books onto an airplane. It'd be expensive. So I went and shipped the media mail to myself. And the box showed up empty, completely empty. Box was sealed. It's like a magic trick. But the books inside of it were gone. 16 books gone. And the box had been opened for inspection based on the stamp on it that said, open for inspection. And then they removed the books to confirm that they were in fact media, because I was using media mail to mail the books. And then they resealed the box and passed it down to the location that it was going to, who then got the box empty and said, oh, box received empty. And they stamped it, box received empty. So when I got the box that was empty, I brought it back to the local postmaster and I said, I'm curious, this box is empty. And he goes, yeah, we received it that way. And I said, yeah, but when I shipped it, it had 16 books. And he goes, yeah, they were removed for inspection based on the other stamp. And I said, yeah, why didn't they put them back in? And he goes, yeah, that is weird. That is weird. I go, can I file a claim for that? And he goes, did you buy insurance? I said, wait, I need to buy insurance against intentional things that they might do to my mail? And he said, yeah, that's how insurance works. So I didn't know that, so I lost 16 books. But again, that was about the methods they were using, not what they were charging. However, you have to understand that our society, believe it or not, still has major portions of it that are run on the notion that mail will get delivered and will get delivered promptly. So for instance, I can tell you that the Michigan court rules, the court rules that attorneys abide by when they're conducting things in court, actually talk about how you can serve somebody with a document by hand or by mail. And it'll often say if you serve them by hand, they get 5 days to respond. If you serve them by mail, they get 7. The presumption being it's going to take them 2 days to get the mail. Well, that might just go out the window right now. Do we rewrite the court rules? What do we do? That is an actual problem. Also, court notices are sent out on the presumption that you're going to get them fairly soon after they're mailed. Now, a lot of court notices are sent out so far in advance that a trial date might be sent to you 6 months in advance, okay? Or a hearing date 2 months in advance. But there are some things that get sent out with less lead time on them. And also, my concern is that if stuff starts getting slower, is it all still going to get delivered? There's something in my mind, something in the back of my mind is telling me, once you slow it down, some stuff's going to get lost. I don't know why I think that. But I can tell you that during COVID, as we know, all the mail got screwed up, especially going into last year. The mail started getting slow last year, and it stayed slow till now. And by slow, I mean some stuff took a while to get there, and some stuff just never got there. Now, again, this is an unscientific experiment I did, but I mailed myself first-class letters that were addressed to me with my return address in the corner. And I put them in the local mailbox. I put them actually in the post office closest to the address on the envelope. So it's extremely difficult to understand how those could go astray. And of the 4 I mailed to myself, I got 1. And I got it about a month later. So it took a month to travel. I mean, I understand it didn't go direct route, but as a crow flies, 2 miles. 2 miles. The other 3, into the ether. Don't know where they went. And that's what I'm curious about. If stuff gets lost while in the Postal Service, where does it go? Because, I mean, there's addresses on this stuff. Think about this. Can you imagine if everything in the lost and found had a name on it? Oh, this belongs to so-and-so, this address. There would be no lost and found. So I understand that some stuff might get folded, spindled, mutilated while going through the mail because there's machines that do the sorting. I understand that. Some stuff could. But when I mail 4 business envelopes with typed, I ran them through a printer. These are not handwritten. So they had printed Times New Roman 12-point type, return address and address correct with the correct postage on it. I mailed 4 of them to myself. I got 1. The 3 others, gone. Where did they go? Where did they go? This is almost, in my mind, like a physics question. Because you can't destroy matter. They're out there somewhere. Are they in a different form or not? But notwithstanding any of that, the idea that the Postal Service is concerned about making money and in that sense is going to slow down deliveries in an attempt to help their bottom line, to me, is a problem. Now, I suppose if they actually do that and they can quantify that and say, look, it's going to help us make money, I guess I understand the rationale, except in my mind, I think the rationale is not correct. Simply because there are branches of our government that do not make money. And if you simply said, well, you know, the military doesn't make money, we got to look at this again and figure out how do we get the military to make money? The ATF, do they make money? Now, they might seize a lot of stuff along the way. They might do some civil asset forfeitures. But does the ATF actually turn a profit every single year? Is there something we can do to make that happen? How do we make the ATF? Does the Coast Guard turn a profit every year? Maybe the Coast Guard needs to slow its boats down a little bit. Maybe they'll make some more money that way. So I understand that there are institutions that should be making money, such as for-profit corporations, right? IBM, if you look at their corporate papers, it says our goal is to make money. It says that in some kind of verbiage, right? But is that really the purpose of the U.S. Post Office, to make money? Or is it something that the government has simply been providing for over 200 years with relatively good service? So I'm sorry to see this happen, but it's coming. But the Postal Service is going to slow down certain mail deliveries starting in October, according to Reuters and MSN and a whole bunch of other services. Rachel Scully wrote this version of the story. Mark sent it. Thanks a lot. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. If you're going to tell me stuff that we can't write down, it must not be true. #don't mess with Lehto.